Welcome, everybody. I'm Alexandra Mitchell. I am the chair for Heritage Region. I can introduce Pat Fry, just wave. Heather Oronati, Kathy Vera-Burgos, Marie Kilbane-Seckers, Matt Evans, Amy Miller, and Greg McCormick.
I will wave by voice.
These folks are current members of our board or serving on a committee role. This particular presentation is a little different than what we usually do in our monthly webinar series. As you may have noticed, this is not a webinar, this is an actual Zoom meeting, and we did it this way so that we could actually talk and interact with people and work to create a sense of community. And so rather than having a specific professional development topic with outside experts this time around, we want to talk about how you can build and apply your skills and get the most out of your IABC membership by letting you know about the opportunities that exist for professional development right here within our region. The region itself covers 17 states and has approximately 700 members. And our members who serve the Heritage Region in some capacity, be it on a board or one of our committees, everybody here has some sort of passion, curiosity, talent, and time that they give. And that is the engine that drives IABC, whether it is at the chapter, the region, or the international level. And it's together, it's teamwork, as they say, that makes the dream work. And we can really accomplish a lot and contribute to the profession and get back in ways by what we are able to contribute. And before we begin this session, I have a little short story, and it's something that you don't see in member month literature or brochures. And the title of this event is Connect and Contribute. And while you can do that on many levels of IABC, and while we're a professional development organization, there's a community that forms when you get involved and when you work with people and when you get to meet people at different events, for example, at conferences over the years. For myself, I served on the Detroit board for a number of years, and then I became chapter president, and then I moved into a role with the region being Silver Quill chair, and now I am the Heritage Region chair. And I met a lot of people over the course of that time, and I worked closely with a few of them and became an alumna of the chapter presidents. And I didn't think much about it at the time, but what was happening was I was creating and becoming part of a community. And just before our first region board meeting, so just before I was holding my first board meeting as chair, I had 3 terrible, horrible, very bad weeks. In the course of those 3 weeks, I broke my foot, my driving foot, my dog died, and I developed a blood clot. You know, I posted a picture of my casted foot on Facebook, you know, as you do when you break something. And Pat and a few others I got into a conversation, and I've known Pat for a number of years from the region board, but I met her at the chapter level when I earned a scholarship to an event. And Pat knows me enough to know that I have a stubborn streak that as long as the day, and she knows that I probably will not ask for help for myself. She intervened, and before I knew it, she kind of put the SOS out on these invisible telegraph wires, and the next thing I know, I have the Detroit chapter administrator calling me and being my medical Uber to deliver a knee scooter from another chapter member. She rallied the troops, and it even involved a porch party in quarantine since I couldn't get out and do anything. And it was even the region board sent me a wonderful little basket of flowers. Not a little, it was a tremendous basket of flowers. And I never would have asked for any of that. But Pat knew that I would not have done that, and she knew I needed the help. And people she reached out to, whom she met a lot of at the Detroit Region Conference, so that she knew who would be the people to reach out to. It all created that wonderful sense of community that has absolutely nothing to do with communication and professional development, but it's that kind of hidden benefit of membership that happens when you get to know people and work with people kind of and understand them and care about them. And you know, my story is special to me, but it's not unique to IABC. Everybody, if you've been in the organization long enough, you'll have friends and stories of your own along that similar line. And so I just kind of want to share that as an aside, that you're going to develop and get certainly professional development skills out of this, but there's that human element that really ties all of us together. And I just wanted to emphasize that. So I would like to now introduce a couple members of our board. I would like to start with Heather Oronati. Wave, Heather, where did you go?
I'm right here.
Heather Oronati, who is a member at large, and a member at large is somebody who is a member but does not have a chapter. So they're still a member of the organization, but they don't have a specific chapter that they are connected with. And so Heather is a member at large, and she just joined us a few months ago and couldn't be happier, right? Can I?
Right. No, that's right. So I'm in Cleveland, the Cleveland, Ohio area, and I am a member at large. And I think probably of this panel, I am the newest member. I think I joined in April of this past year. And so what brought me to the organization were, and I'm sorry, I have like a frog in my throat, so I might keep clearing my throat. What brought me to the organization were a couple of things. So, you know, I was sort of in a place in my career where I'd been doing the same thing for about 20 years. I was sort of looking for a way to grow professionally. I felt like I kind of had maxed out in the role that I was in, and I was looking for, you know, a way to kind of learn something new and grow a little bit more. And so, you know, I was talking to a colleague one day who has been pretty involved in IABC for several years. And she suggested, you know, she told me about the organization, asked me if I'd heard about it, and I had not. And so she told me a little bit about it. And, you know, at the same time, she started connecting me with several of her colleagues, members of the organization. And I kind of started talking to each of these people, you know, about what I was currently doing, what I thought I might like to do, learned a little bit about what their roles looked like. Cause it's funny when you're, you know, you're doing something for so long, everything sort of seems the same. You have the same kind of network of people that you fall back on when you're, you know, kind of talking and brainstorming about things. And so, you know, I just kind of kept following those connections. And, you know, since there's no local chapter in my area that I can actually physically get involved in, and, you know, also, I guess due to COVID, there's no physical involvement anywhere anyway. So I was really interested in finding a way that I could get involved and contribute more directly. And so, you know, I was motivated to make some connections with other people outside of, like I said, my established circle, I guess. So fast forward to now, you know, I made those connections, and now I'm a communications specialist. I work with Greg. We are the communications committee, the two of us. So, you know, and I've been working closely with Amy. So I've been getting to collaborate a lot with some, you know, really great, really smart people. I wouldn't have otherwise had the chance to meet. And I'm getting to work on things like promoting the region events and developing and executing webinars, which is something that's been really fun too. You know, in my professional role, I've been involved from like a content planning standpoint in the webinars, but not all of the things that go into developing a webinar and executing the webinar. So, these are just things that, all the nuts and bolts of things, you get to be involved in a lot more than you might normally have been involved in your professional area. So I just think, my take is just joining an organization like this and, taking the time to get involved really directly in moving it forward is just a great way to expose yourself to new skills that you like to develop, and really maybe even as importantly to new people who can kind of broaden your insight around what communication looks like in different settings and in different industries. And so, I actually transitioned into a new job last month. And interestingly, I found that the things I'm doing here with IABC are really helping me think through aspects of, what I might be able to do as I advance in this role too. So I guess that's in a nutshell my story. And I'm happy to, if anyone has questions or wants to talk about, what I'm currently doing offline, I'm happy to connect in any way.
Thank you, Heather. And next, I would like to introduce Marie Kildane-Seckers, who is also currently a member at large, but on the opposite end of the spectrum, has been involved with IABC for many years. Marie?
Hi, everyone. Really nice to meet you. See you all today. I'm also from Cleveland, and I'm looking forward to meeting Heather at some time post-COVID. I've been involved for over 15 years on either a chapter or regional level. IABC had a chapter in Cleveland a number of years ago, and I was involved with the chapter locally and was served as president a number of years ago. I transitioned from there. I had a big interest in students, and we had a focus on students at the chapter at the time. So I moved over to the region once my tenure was over because I really wanted to stay invested in the organization. I find it a wonderful organization, and what Heather mentioned is as true as true for me as well. So continuing on this path, I worked with students on a regional level, letting them know about what IABC is up to, helping with conferences, trying to develop relationships between practitioners and students. It was an area where I felt I could give back. I loved working with students, and still on occasion, that's something I would like to continue doing. But I went from there. After a number of years, I said, well, let's try something new. And I, in my personal life, had some time. So I moved over to chapter liaison, which is another great fit. I have a chance to talk to some other communicators, some more experienced, some with a few less years of experience than me, talk about their work as chapter presidents, bringing linkages together, helping build relationships and that. And I love this type of work. I work for the Ohio Lottery Commission. It's a state agency in Ohio. And as you know, it's a niche type job. It's a niche type organization. And I really wanted to expand my horizons. I wanted to see what people were doing in other industries. I wanted to see what they were doing that were working so I could expand what I'm doing and help as I could at work. And I've met some great people over the years. That's why I keep coming back. So, I've picked up some new knowledge. I've picked up some friends, and it's been an overall very, very good experience for me. Now, just to give you an idea, between relationship building and, what's your life going to be like as a volunteer? There's so many opportunities here that have the time commitments vary quite a bit. So right now, as a chapter liaison, for example, I maybe spend 4 to 6 hours a month between reaching out to territories that I'm assisting with other projects and our meetings. So I find it works very well for where I am in my life right now. I've put in more hours in other roles as well, but there's a lot of variety, and I think when some other people come up to talk next, that the organization and the individuals that you'd be working with are very happy to work with you to give you a good experience, to help you meet more people, feel like you're contributing, and just have a good time in this community, because this is a community. Now I'm going back to what Alex said, but what Heather and Alex said both, rings true for me as well. So, and I'm also happy to talk to anybody offline if they like to chat some more. So thank you.
Thank you, Marie. So a lot of ways to get involved in the Regents Board and Committee, the conference, and the Silver Quill Communications Award Program. And to explain the board structure and some of the board roles and some of the committee structure, I would like to introduce Matt Evans, who has held several positions on the board and most recently is our past region chair. Matt?
Hello, because I'm also from Northeast Ohio, like Heather and Marie. Actually, I was on the board with Marie at the Cleveland chapter, which became the Northeast Ohio chapter. So I was on that for about 10 years. And it was a great immersion into meeting local professionals in our area that I had been somewhat remiss in making connections to because I was just growing in my career at that point. From that, I joined the region board, and I've now spent another 10 years serving in a variety of roles. And as Alex said, most recently as the chair and now the past chair. The Heritage Region's mission and why, I mean, if you even look at the organization, and I'm going to now kind of transition from the testimony side to what the opportunities are. And we saw that in the poll about what's involved. The Heritage Region serves to support the chapters primarily. I mean, that's what we're here to do, to help the chapter leaders and become a conduit between international, which is trying to run a global organization, and boots on the ground members in our areas and communities. I found, being involved in the region as the Cleveland chapter, when inactive, has kept me connected to a lot of great people in this industry and profession, and a lot of great thinking. So it's been a wonderful experience, and I can tell you that getting involved in the region is what you make of it. So my hours, to say 1 year were more or less, I can tell you that as the region chair, that was probably the largest amount of hours I had dedicated in terms of working with IABC, but it was probably the most rewarding and intellectually stimulating. What we have are a ton of opportunities. And so if you look at this, there are lots of opportunities within the conference committee, which right now we are chartered to be in Boston in October of 2021. I think the world will have settled and we'll be in a good space. And being in Boston at the time of year we're going to be should be awesome. The Boston chapter has rallied around and brought together a group of individuals to help with bring this together and looking at it as their big cornerstone event for the year. But there's still more conference committee opportunities, and I think Pat's going to talk about that following me. The other half of it, if you look at a committee, and those are those gray black boxes, are Silver Quill. And Silver Quill has a lot of opportunities for people to serve on committee roles. It's a very substantive award event that brings together judges from around the world that are part of IABC to evaluate, using the standards of the association, award entries, and really the thrill of announcing winners and the recognition that goes along with it. In addition to that, on this org chart, we have openings in the growth and development area and the members at large chair. Of the 700 and some members that Alex mentioned in the region, we have a fair amount that sit as members at large. So they've continued to stay engaged with the organization, though they may not have an active chapter in their area, or because of their affiliations, they've decided to join, even if there may not be any chapter within geographically 50 miles of their residence or employment. In addition to that, the last opening or opportunity I'd mentioned is the finance specialist role. We just created that from a development point of view, as we have the communication specialist role that Heather serves in. these are roles that have the chance to get immersed and support the actual finance and communication chair. In this case, it's the finance chair that we're looking for a finance specialist to support. And it helps share the workload as well. We, from the finance side, and I served in that role, I forget, Amy could probably tell me how many years. We have an accountant that helps prepare all our reporting. So from a fiduciary point of view, nobody's, doing a general ledger sitting in that finance role. They're working with the accountant to prepare our financial reporting and make sure that we are, from a budgeting point of view, have dollars available to the region's initiatives, whether student relations, our own conference is obviously the biggest investment we make, and the webinars, etc. It's really fun to get involved. And I think, the way we have opportunities that are out there right now, committees obviously are usually ongoing for a year period. Openings in the growth and development area, those are also good ways to sort of test the water and feel it out and see if it engages you, or there might be other opportunities you'd be interested in. But the overall time commitment is not onerous. It's what you make of it, and it's enjoyable, and you meet a whole bunch of great people and work with them. So I always considered that sort of an addition into the profession that I pursue as a communicator. I'd love to talk to anybody if they'd like to know more.
Thanks, Matt. And I'd like to add to that, that we have certain positions open right now on the board that Matt mentioned, but also, our terms expire. And so just because there isn't a position open right now doesn't mean that that isn't something that might not be available to you. And sometimes if you serve on a committee and get to be a little familiar with the process in the organization, that might inspire you to want to put in for a board position later on. So just things to keep in mind there. Have you attended one of our region conferences over the years? I will say that they are quite a well done production, and they are, when I got in, I had attended the conferences, and when you go as a conference participant, your mindset is very different. You're like, where do I check in? What kind of goodies am I going to take away? What sessions do I want to register for? And when I joined the region board, and then I got to see how that conference was put together, it was really inspirational to see everybody working together to make it come together and create the quality experience that we've been able to offer for more than a decade. So with that said, I want to introduce Pat Fry. She actually holds two positions right now. She's the conference liaison, and she is also our certification chair. And so Pat will tell us a little bit more about roles with the conference.
Hi there. So I have been involved with IABC for a long time, beginning at the chapter level. So I'm at the other end of Ohio. I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I had all kinds of roles on the board, including president for several years. Then I became a chapter liaison, which Marie is now on the region board. I was the scholarship chair. Now I'm the certification chair, but I'm also the conference liaison. And I've been the conference chair or co-chair for three or 4 years. I can't remember. So I'm a conference junkie. I love the World Conference, but I really love the Heritage Region Conference. It's smaller. You really get to meet people. It's more intimate than the 1,000 people come to World Conference. We maybe have 200, maybe 250 people at the most that come to the regional conferences. We have a proven framework of how to put on a conference. We have a variety of people who did this for a dozen years. And so there's, we're not starting anything from scratch. Now, of course, in this year, the wonderful 2020, we were going to have a conference in Boston, but we had to postpone it. So our sites are now on October 10th through 12th in Boston to have an in-person conference, and we're believing that'll be true. There's all kinds of different levels of things to do with the conference, and the good thing about the conference is it's, there's a concentrated period of time. It does go, I'd say, a good 9 months with monthly meetings, Zoom calls. But depending on what you're doing, the time changes, the time commitment changes. And some of these areas are very active early on, marketing, speakers, sponsorship, and some of them are just during the conference, logistics during the conference, and helping with coordinating all the volunteers during the conference. There's just really a lot of different levels of things. And then of course, things kind of heat up when you get close to the conference. We do have conference co-chairs from the Boston chapter right now, but there's a lot of other things. We last year, 2019, we were in Detroit. They had an amazing conference. We try to move the conference from the Midwest to the East Coast as we can, because our region is, encompasses all of that. So Detroit had an amazing amount of sponsors, and that was really good. Other years we were not so lucky in getting, that level of sponsorship. But the other thing is marketing, social media, graphics. I mean, these are things that if you would, you don't have to be experts in these things. You just need people to have energy and ideas. Speakers, we do have somebody who's going to continue to head that, but there's all kinds of evaluation of speakers and different levels of things. Finance, Amy is the finance chair. She's been the finance chair of the region, and now she is of the conference. There's obviously a lot of hotel contracts and things like that going on. So there's a variety of things that we do, but like I said, the time commitment varies, and it just, I can talk more to somebody about, I've done quite a few of the roles, been involved in most of them. When you're the chair, you get into all of them. I'll be happy to answer any more questions.
Great, thank you, Pat. And now I would like to introduce Kathy Vera-Burgos, who is our current Silver Quill Chair, and I might add a Gold Quill Award winner.
I joined IABC as a member 17 years ago. Wow, seems like time flies when you're having fun. I've done a lot of participating in, professional development meetings at the local level. I've attended several of the IABC Heritage Region conferences, which are wonderful. I even got a chance a couple of years back to be a speaker at one of them. And I have, of course, submitted a lot of entries for award consideration, and I've been fortunate to receive quite a few local awards, 6 Heritage Region Silver Quill Awards, and 1 International Gold Quill Award. And some of those awards are like behind me on the shelves, like above my head and to either side. Last year, I was asked to take on the Silver Quill Chair for the Heritage Region, and 2020 was going to be my first year in this leadership role. But of course, then COVID hit, and we decided it would be best to postpone the awards because we are aware that so many communicators are on the front lines handling communications for the pandemic. So as we approach 2021, I'm looking to build my Silver Quill committee with communicators who are interested in helping to celebrate excellence in our profession. So I'm hoping that you're all already familiar with Silver Quill, but if you're not, I will pull up here one of the 2019 awards that I was lucky enough to receive. It's an awards program, of course, for communicators covering the whole Heritage Region area, which, as Alex mentioned, includes 17 states, from Michigan and Indiana down to Kentucky and Virginia, over to the East Coast, and includes Washington, D.C. as well. And earning a Silver Quill is an exceptional distinction in our profession. Each entry is evaluated on its own merit by 2 communication professionals. There are 4 main divisions for award submission, including management, research, training and education, and communication skills. If you want to participate on the Silver Quill committee, but also want to submit a project for award consideration, that is possible. We just ask that the individual managing the evaluation process not also be an award submitter in order to avoid any conflicts of interest. So as you've heard today, you could broaden your communication skills and get involved in an area that you don't normally handle in your paying job. Or maybe you're looking to build your resume for communications or leadership experience. We can offer that opportunity. You could be looking for a new way to give back to others in the profession, or participate in celebrating the best of the best within our field. We can offer you that opportunity. Or maybe you have a little extra time on your hands, especially since COVID-19 hit, and you're looking for a fun project, in which case we can certainly fit that bill as well. So let me share with you what some of our opportunities are. Our first opportunity is a communications manager publicity. This person develops communication plan to promote Silver Quill submissions, writes and implements communication tactics, including emails, website messaging, postcards, etc. And this person would be busy from January through the award submission deadline, likely June, for promotion, and then announcing the winners in September, October timeframe. We also have the evaluation process manager who reaches out to evaluators to determine their interest and availability, finds additional evaluators as needed, encourages them to complete Gold Quill evaluator training, assigns submissions to evaluators, communicates with them to ensure they're meeting deadlines, resolving any discrepancies or problems during the process. And the timing of that is really the February-March timeframe to build the evaluator list, and then working with evaluators, say May through August timeframe. We also like to have a multimedia manager who would help us with winner recognition. And this would be creating a presentation for the awards ceremony, showcasing the award winners and their entries. So this would be used at the face-to-face ceremony, or if, God forbid, it has to be a virtual ceremony next year, then it would be used there as well. And so we are hoping this would be someone who can attend the ceremony in 2021 in Boston. And the timing for this would be really July through October. We'd also love to have a photographer to take photos of the award winners accepting the awards at the ceremony. So it should be somebody who can attend the ceremony in 2021 in Boston. This person would also edit the photos if needed and submit them to the website manager for posting. And this would obviously happen in October. We also have a social media content manager who would work with the communications manager to develop and implement appropriate messaging for our IABC social media presence. This would entail working January through June on promotions and September, October timeframe to announce the winners. And a trophy manager to confirm the trophy details for the award winners, work with the trophy vendor, proofread the copy, and ensure that the trophies are created and delivered in time for the award ceremony. Handle any duplicate trophy orders or any trophy problems. And the timing for that would be selecting the vendor early in the year and then working with the vendors, say August through October. And really the last position that I have on the committee is a website manager. And I have somebody that's filling this position for next year, but we could use some additional volunteers who would like to assist in testing the award website, and not just for those who are submitting awards, but for the judges as well, to make sure that the website works well. And so for any of these, if you are interested in helping out, you can use the email address that's on the screen, or get in contact with me. I'll certainly be around for the rest of this meeting. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Kathy. We're a small but mighty group in a way, and we try and work with things that are manageable, and having additional help allows us to do more and be less stressed about it. And depending on what you get involved with, the time commitments will vary. I will say, if you're looking for a board position, it's helpful if you have been involved in the region so that you're a little familiar with the process and familiar with the organization. But depending on your background, your interest, and your time commitment, it's not a deal breaker either. For the board and committee positions, and by committee, I mean the like the finance specialist, or like Heather's role as communication specialist, or as an actual voting board position role, there is an online application that is on our website. The other roles for conference or for Silver Quill, just have a conversation with Kathy and Pat, and tell them what you're interested in, and they'll ask you a few questions, and it's a more informal process. Thank you all for being a part of this presentation. We hope to be hearing from you. Reach out to any of us if you have questions, and we hope to see you at future events and work with you more closely.